Happy ever after in the marketplace, Molly lets the children lend a hand. Desmond stays at home and does his pretty face, and in the evening, she's a singer with the band. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, from deep in the bowels of our underground lair, 5 seasons, doing no press conferences, and encouraging all the Canucks to come across the border. How you doing?
That what we do, all the Canucks?
Yeah.
You know, I find the Vancouver Canucks, I find that kind of offensive.
Yeah?
I think we're going to have to get rid of that. Get rid of a Canuck. Isn't a Canuck an idiot Canadian?
I don't know.
I got to look.
I don't know, but as long as they're using it, I think it's all right.
Oh, it's okay
Isn't
then?
it? Or maybe not. Maybe it's like some of those other words. They can say it, but you can't. I don't know. Is it offensive or not? I don't know.
Well, it's a slang word
Yeah.
for a Canadian.
Yeah, that's all I thought it was. It's like calling,
Calling me a bohunk or something like that?
calling
Is
me
that-
a Scandahoovian.
I've never heard that word before.
Really?
Scandinavian?
Hoovian.
Hoovian?
Hoovian,
Yeah, you
Scandahoovian.
Polacks. You do everything backwards.
Polak.
Huh?
Swede.
You're Swedish?
Half Swede.
Really?
Yeah.
Half Swede and half Cherokee Indian?
No, that part's split. English and Cherokee. So.
God, what a combination.
Yeah. Well, the English came in, and a lot of them went south into Kentucky after settling into, the 13 colonies.
Yeah, was Kentucky? I don't think Kentucky was an original, was it?
No, it was not.
It was like, but it was a
was
state pretty quick.
First or second. Was Tennessee first after the 13?
Yeah,
or
I
was
think that was the
Kentucky?
14th. I think was Tennessee.
Okay.
It was Tennessee, Kentucky, and like I want to say Ohio or Indiana
Yeah.
were close after that.
Yeah.
Around the War of 1812 when they defeated. What's the Indian? Tecumseh.
Tecumseh, yeah.
That was, I think,
Yeah,
Indiana
that's
was
it.
a state by then.
Yeah. Well, see, I do know history. I just don't know dates. America.
I know dates, but
America,
I don't know history.
there's the proof.
So the English settled down. So were you on the Trail of Tears? Is that where you're?
No, mine decided to stay put in Kentucky, and so they were not on the Dawes roll. Therefore,
good for them.
I'm still paying off college.
Yeah.
So,
Really? Here's the thing about paying off college.
yes.
The only thing that's going to get that to stop is for people to quit taking out loans. Okay.
I think another way is to stop going to college.
Well, yeah. I mean, or
Yeah.
getting into more practical career paths.
Right.
And I don't know what will. But you know what? What'll probably happen if that happens? Everything will just become free.
Yeah.
That's the solution. The solution is never to look
absolutely.
never to look at the problem. Okay.
Yes.
I heard my wife's name in that song.
Yes.
And I think I don't recall the title. I think that's a Beatles song.
Yes.
Okay.
Obladi, oblada.
No, it's a Beatles song.
Yes.
Anyway, that's what you call it?
That's the title. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now that's like the 4th time I've gotten the Beatles right.
Yeah.
I think I got them wrong once. I can't remember
Maybe,
the song,
yeah.
but I think I got okay. I don't know what my batting average is, but I'm still below the euchre line. For the what are we in the 205th or 6th show now, and
Yeah.
I'm still
205th. Yeah.
still under euchre when it comes to the batting average. But
It's all right.
there's still some guys in the Twins lineup I bet I could beat.
Yeah.
No
probably.
doubt about it.
Yeah.
After they blew opening day. We won't get into that. It just gets me too angry. By the way, this starting look as being labeled a baseball traditionalist, which I'd probably be labeled. I don't like labeling people, so I just don't care to do that. But I hate the stat geeks and the math dorks. So I guess you'd label me that. The idea we're going to start extra innings with a guy on second base.
What?
Yeah.
I did not hear about
I
this.
hate that.
What's the purpose in that?
Probably just to get the game over with. But
Right.
but I'm gonna shoot at it from a different angle.
Okay.
When it takes 4.5 hours to play 9 innings, I'm okay with it.
Let's just call it off at 9.
I mean, let's just call it
a tie.
Let's call it a tie. I'd rather call it a tie. I'd rather call it a tie than have the extra innings that we do.
Yeah.
But if 9 innings is going to take 4.5 hours, like it did with the Twins and the Brew Crew today, which I still consider the Brewers an American League team. I still don't identify them as
hard. Yeah.
A national. They've been in the National League since 99 or not. I mean, it's been a long time now. But if it's going to take 4, we have to do it like the NHL. We got to have points or something like that. Because it's almost like having a shootout.
We could have a shootout. First guy to hit the batter wins.
Can you imagine, the pennant's on the line or something at the end of the year, and this is how you're going to decide the game? Putting some spasticated idiot at second, and then somehow they just get home. I mean, just I don't know. It's oogly. It's just ugly. That's just ugly. So don't like it. Can't stand it. And we got an entire year of 5-hour baseball games coming. So.
Yep.
At least both pitchers made it to the 4th or 5th. I mean, they're workhorses, I'll tell you. Jay, it's funny. My wife and I watched a string of scary movies last week.
Yes.
Just one after another, after another, after another. I don't know what kind of mood we were in. It was weird. But Jay, it got me to thinking. And we watched, I don't know if you've seen all of these, but I'm sure you've seen The Shining, and you've seen Halloween, and you've seen this movie called Strangers, which is pretty freaky. What's your favorite scary movie? Do you have a franchise or a horror flicks that like is your favorite of all time?
Does Dumb and Dumber count?
No, just because you got their haircut doesn't mean that it's.
I haven't had my hair cut in over a year. Come on now.
At least.
That's my COVID.
It's that lion is still looking for their mane that you cut off.
This is a pretty good looking mane. I'll tell you what.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to come here with hedge clippers at some point and like duct tape you to the chair.
Really?
Just go to town with the hedge clippers.
Okay.
But you got a favorite scary movie?
Oh, goodness. I don't know.
You know what I remember? Yeah. I remember a friend of mine and the final Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy's Dead. Mm-hmm. I remember it came out in 91 when I got into high school. And we snuck in, or I don't remember how we got tickets, but we watched it. There's a part where you got to watch in 3D glasses. Remember the red and blue glass? That was the coolest thing back in 1991.
Yeah. I think I watched Return of the Swamp Thing or whatever. I
don't like
from
like
1920 or whatever, and that was in 3D. You had to have those glasses for that too. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like them more, and it's just the whole. I don't know. Are
they too corny now when you look back on it?
No, I don't think that's it. I think I'm just.
I gotta admit, there's some bad acting in some of them.
Yeah.
I mean, as good of an actor as I am, I can criticize that.
Right.
I've been thinking if I had to say, it would probably be Halloween. Although there's some newer ones I like. I like Vacancy a lot. That's a good one to watch. And that Strangers one, and there's a Strangers 2.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a franchise I don't like. But I kind of don't like it when they become gross, Yeah. Because I'm kind of I kind of am. I don't know what the right word is.
You're more into the suspense of it than
the blood and guts and gore. But I tell you what, I don't know.
That's it. I'm more of a suspense movie guy.
I like a good drama, as they say, as a Canuck would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. You give me a good mystery. You give me a good court case movie. That's probably they would probably rank.
Yeah.
And anything with like a little twist at the end.
And I did like Alfred Hitchcock movies, The Birds, Vertigo, things like that. I thought those were good.
Going back to when you were in your 30s. Yeah. No, he's good. I mean, Hitchcock, you got to give him. He was way ahead of his time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, but I'll tell you what. I still think we have to do Back to the Future where I'm Biff and you're McFly. I still think that would work. To have you as McFly. Remember, you get to punch me at the end of the movie, Jay, and I'd sell. I'd flip.
Yeah.
But it's just my dream to play Biff. I just want to play Biff so bad. Make like a tree and get out of here. I just want to say that really badly. But yeah, I don't know why. I don't know how my wife and I can fall asleep to a horror movie, but somehow we can.
It must have been a good one.
Well, I mean...
Yeah, if you're tired enough, I guess you can fall asleep to anything.
Now I've asked you before about movies, movie sequels.
Mm-hmm.
What's like your favorite like franchise movie?
Of course, it's the Rocky movies.
Is it okay?
Yeah,
that's pretty high up there for me too. Definitely in my top 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's and I'll tell you what. When they ruin something by going too long, or they ruin it with a bad number, I think of like. We ruin it with Karate Kid Part 3.
Yeah.
I mean, it either does one of two things. It makes the first one so much better.
Yeah.
Or it kind of gives you the of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what.
That didn't happen with the Karate Kid movies.
Yeah.
I love the first one.
Second one was okay.
The second one I thought was better.
Really? I didn't think it was better, but I thought it was a good sequel to go to Okinawa and Miyagi has one of the greatest lines in the history of movies.
Yes.
It was when they're going to Miyagi and then the lady from Adventures in Babysitting that is his girlfriend in the movie. Yeah. I don't know. I always forget
Elizabeth
her.
Shue.
That's right. I always forget her name. I don't know why. But anyway, they pretend Miyagi that she's his interpreter. Remember this part?
Yes.
And Miyagi goes, ying, yong, ying, yong, ying, 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 ying. And the guy goes, or Elizabeth Shue says, oh, he says you're a very nice person. And the guy goes, oh, thank you. And Miyagi goes, welcome. Just a great. I still chuckle at that. Anyhow, enough with the nonsense here.
Okay.
Enough with the nonsense. We got to get into serious business, Jay.
Oh.
And unfortunately, serious business is talking about all the money that is being paid out, or a recent settlement, I should say, in the Anoka-Hennepin School District.
Yes.
That a transgender student. Now, again, before we get going too far, I want to define what a transgender student is.
Okay.
However, wins a $300,000 settlement that the student was forced to change in a segregated locker room at Coon Rapids High School. A transgender student who was forced to change in a segregated locker room while attending on the boys' swim team won a blah, blah, blah settlement. The settlement was announced Tuesday by the American Civil Liberties Union, which should change its name because they don't serve any civil liberties as far as I'm concerned.
No.
Joined by the family of Nick H., second name withheld for safety reasons. Really, it's funny. I thought all court cases were public.
Yeah. Not when there's minors involved, I guess.
Okay. So a minor can sue? I didn't know a minor could sue.
Yeah, they really can't.
Family guy can't buy a pack of smokes, but can sue a school district. And the Department of Human Rights here in Minnesota sued the district over his treatment back in 2016. Nick, quote unquote, or Nicole, had been allowed to use the boys' locker room for several months, having come out transgender before his or hers freshman year in 2015. So this is a female claiming to identify as a male.
That is correct.
So she goes from Nicole to Nick, but wanted to change in the men's locker room.
Yes.
Okay, so let's back up a second. This is not somebody who has, God, how do I put this diplomatically? Not biologically changed their Jay, help me out.
Yeah, it's kind of a tricky subject.
To
explain, because
so nobody's taken a knife and
I don't believe that was the case here. No, I believe it was somebody who identified as the other. They were born a woman, identified as a man, not someone who had undergone the surgery.
I see. So they have not. I won't say it.
Okay.
She doesn't have a mustache yet, right? So let me ask a question about that.
Okay.
How young can you be? I mean, a minor in this country can't do anything legally.
Right.
Can't drive. This person can't drive. They can't drink. They can't vote. Can't have a job. Can't smoke a cigarette. Can't do anything, but they can change their gender identity if they want to.
Yeah.
So how about next week? If Nick wants to be Nicole again, can they go backwards?
I guess so. I don't see why not.
So a woman who identifies as a man must be allowed to swim with the boys on the boys' swim team.
I believe so. Yes.
Huh. Wow. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, it really is. I mean, just to sit and say that is, I mean, the world's gone mad.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. The world has gone mad. I mean, think about it. I mean, think about simple science,
Science! Follow the science!
Maybe She Blinded Me with Science should have been the song for today.
We should get Fauci. We should get that little twerp in here on this. Or Scarf Lady. Come over here and show us the science.
Yes. Science! So it's simple.
But it isn't.
Oh, yes, it is.
Well, I mean, it is simple, but we're making it.
Yes, we're being idiots about it. If you are born with boy parts, you should not be allowed to show those boy parts in public spaces to people that don't have them. And likewise, if you don't have boy parts and you have girl parts, you should not be allowed to show those girl parts in public spaces to people that don't have them.
And by the way,
it's that simple.
And by the way, when I was in high school, I didn't care for the boy parts to be shown to the boy parts either.
Well, that's true. That's true as well.
Fact.
Yes.
Jay, fact. I never in my life, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
To walk into the showers with 25 naked men, I was not going to do.
Do you ever visit a Turkish prison?
Yeah. Like movies about gladiators. That was a Turkish prison. I just tell you, I mean, it was bad enough they gave me foot fungus. Okay, I didn't need to go break up any sword fights. Okay, so it was awful. I mean, I hated it. So shower at home. Okay, guys, just shower at home. Leave your girdle on after football practice and shower at home. It was a 10-minute drive. Okay, so yeah, that was not good either.
Yeah.
So just so.
But I mean, really, Andrew, it's that simple, isn't it? I mean, you either have the parts or you don't, and you don't mix the two between people that have parts and don't have parts, or don't have parts and have parts. You don't do it.
But I'm more concerned. I mean, yes, you're right, of course. But I mean, I'm more concerned about this idea that a child. Because let's be honest here. This person, he or she, decided before their freshman year that they were going to come out as a transgender. Okay?
Yes.
So that's 9th grade. Mm-hmm. That's 14 years old.
Yes.
Like I said, you can't do anything at the age of 14.
No.
But you can change your gender identity if you want to. Where are this kid's parents, by the way?
Exactly. Well, the parent is the one who brought the lawsuit.
Of course, they want money.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't going to the kid.
No.
Kid's still underage.
Of course it's not going to the kid. But if you look at what did I read? Let's see. The student identified as NH, female, blah blah blah. The student's parent is the one that brought the lawsuit in the first place. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't understand this, because there used to be a healthy sense in parents, anyways. Once you kind of you've lived life a little bit, get punched in the teeth once or twice, you have a good sense of what's normal and what's not normal. And I know I'm going to get in trouble for using that word, because you have brands like what was one of the shampoo brands decided to pull normal off of, because of the Great Reset. We can't call hair normal anymore. But it was like a gauge, normal to oily, and they pulled normal. So don't come complaining to me if you're going to be upset about the use of the word normal. This was defined as gender dysphoria. When people are not sure what gender they are and there's confusion, they're unable to find a sense of identity. It's not seen as a normal behavior. I'm sorry, it's not. And so we're just, what happened to the parents? You're right, because
also, aren't there some other options for a confused kid? Because I mean, I can understand being a teenager and being, maybe you're a little bit of an outcast, or maybe you've got problems at home. I mean, look, I get it. Those things are very, very real. But to say to someone, okay, as your parent, I'm not only going to encourage you to keep going in that direction, I'm not going to get you any, this kid could easily talk to a counselor or a teacher, or, I always say, where's faith in the home? Where's...
Well, no, they're not going to church anymore. That's a big part of it.
Right, but I mean, and I don't mean church as in, this is a sin or something like that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you don't have those basic things, if you don't have faith in a home and all that kind of stuff, to me, this is where it kind of goes after that. You raise a person not...
Yeah. Anything goes. There's no absolute.
Right. There's no right and wrong. There's
moral
no
relativism.
Yeah. I mean, this is what the results are.
This is the end product of that. You're right.
This is a moral-less society. That's what, and unfortunately, that's what so many people seem to be pushing for, is this idea that nothing's right or wrong, nothing's good or bad. We have to accept everything and every consequence. We have no right to criticize it. We have no right to disagree with it. And every single thing has to be accommodated. And it can't be, first of all. No. You can't have a society like that. I mean, it's not possible.
No, it's not, because
I identify as a mountain lion.
Yes.
Like, I mean, what are you going to... Hey, I got the right? So, I want some raw steak. School district's got to give it to me. If they don't, they're discriminating. I mean, how far do you take this nonsense?
I'm a little bit of a pampered mountain lion. I kind of need mine medium well.
Yeah, God. You just want that extra big baked potato. But and what it sounds like, this high school tried to accommodate this person. I don't think this person was discriminated against. I mean, it was basically, they gave a segregated changing room that no other student would use.
Yeah.
Said, okay, you go identify as whatever you want, but we're not going to let a girl in the boys' locker room.
Yes.
And vice versa. And now, what's unreasonable about that?
Absolutely nothing.
I mean, you could have I could walk into a Target and have a boys' bathroom, a girls' bathroom, and a unisex bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, it's a compromise. Let it go.
Yeah.
But apparently that was not good enough
for
this case. And I also put some of this on the district for paying this out, because now you've opened up the floodgates.
Yeah.
Okay, so now any little thing, somebody's going to either A, think they're entitled to money, or B, they're going to bully until, Part of this settlement is that all school board members, staff, and students have to get training on all of these policies. So more time taken out of learning,
Yes.
which we're already raising kids dumber and dumber, speaking of the movie. And now we've got to have touchy-feely class.
Right. Literally and figuratively.
And you listen to this. You tell me from this jackass at the ACLU, you tell me this isn't a threat.
Mm-hmm.
This sends a strong message to school districts throughout the state. It's unconstitutional. Because when are we worried about constitutional rights of minors? How about buy a gun? How about that there, Mr. ACLU? You going to back that? No, of course not. It's unconstitutional to treat trans students differently than other students. Well, if you, again, how crudely can I put this? Have male body parts and walk into a locker room with female body parts, but I don't let any other men in there. Isn't that discriminatory in itself?
Mm-hmm.
They're getting special rights.
Yes.
Noting that, by the way, he said you cannot treat them differently than other students, noting that such districts that do, quote, will pay a price.
Yes. There's another quote from him that this settlement puts every other school district in Minnesota on notice.
Yeah, exactly. I should say I'm at bringmethenews.com. There's Fox 9 has a story on this as well. Speaking at the announcement, quote, Nick, which funny, they have a picture of him here, but yet they're not using his or her real name, which is interesting. So that he didn't back the suit to improve his own position. Interesting language. Well, then turn the money down then, pal, if that's
right.
the case. But to make the school district and board understand how they treated me was wrong, and to make things better for the next generations of students. You mean to scramble their brains more. Yeah. That's all this is going to do. The past several years have been a hard experience. Oh, yippee. Well, welcome to high school.
Yeah. Again, you're 14, maybe you should get punched in the teeth by life a few times, and then when you figure it out, come on back.
Discrimination have been filed against the Anoka-Hennepin School District, including 2011 following the suicide of 4 LGBTQ students. So what, that was on the district?
No, absolutely not. But, I mean, that's the thing. They struggle with identity. They're depressed.
And nobody gets them any help either.
It's proven that once they go through this as a teenager, that the vast majority of trans students wish they hadn't gone through with the surgery part of it.
Really?
And that they could go back. And there's such a high rate of suicide within trans students because they are searching for identity, and this isn't it. And they figure it out, and it continues the depths of depression.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I'm just floored that it takes a parent's permission to give a kid an aspirin.
Yeah.
Okay, but they can identify as any gender that they wish. Mm-hmm. Remember, there's 26 genders, Jay.
Yes.
And we can identify as anyone that we want to.
I can name 2 of them.
Yeah, I can name 2 of them as well. I can't think of the other 24, but maybe you can help me on that.
Yeah, write in if you know what they are.
I have no idea.
Comment on the...
I couldn't tell you. Now you're going to make me Google it.
Oh, boy. I don't know. Do we need to do that?
No, I'm just gonna look.
Yeah, it might be worth it. I don't know. I don't even know how you come up with 26. It's
well, actually, there's 72 on one side.
72.
transgender, gender neutral, non-binary, agender, pangender, queer gender, gender queer, two-spirit, third gender.
Two-spirit? What?
That's a drink in each hand. I don't know.
Two-spirit.
Genderless, third gender, bigender, trans man, trans woman, trans masculine, trans feminine, neuteritis.
Neuteritis? That sounds like you got into a bad bicycle accident.
Yeah. Where'd you get hit? No, it's neutrosis. You know me, I can't spell. Neutrois. Neutros.
Neuterosis?
Yeah, that's kind of sounds like a brand of sugar. Neutros.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, I love it.
What?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Gender identity terms.
Okay.
I know. I'm going way off subject here. Agender, bigender. Bigender is a person who fluctuates between male. See, I said fluctuates between. You can go in one locker room any way you want, anytime you want to. Cisgender.
That would be us. We're one, I'm a man who identifies as a man.
Okay.
Right. That one I think I know.
Gender expression. The external display of one's gender through a combination of how they dress, how they act, and other factors. Okay. Gender fluid.
Is that found in the sports drink section?
No, I don't. No, I don't think
Okay.
it's. I don't think it's some Gatorade. Gender queer.
Yes.
Don't get it. Intersex, as opposed to outer sex.
Okay.
Still don't get it.
Getting in touch with your feminine side, I guess.
Gender variant. MX.
MX.
Mm-hmm.
What? I don't get it.
Me either. Third gender. Is that like talking in third person? Is that like, Bob Dole's not gay, and Bob Dole's not a woman, and Bob Dole's not a man, and Bob Dole's not... Two-spirit is an umbrella term traditionally used by Native American people to recognize individuals who possess qualities of both genders.
I'm Native American. I've never heard of it.
Well, there weren't that many on that page, but
Okay. What a fascinating discussion that was.
But I mean,
Yes.
the bigger point though is how nuts this is on teenagers, and you fill their heads full of this crap. You push an agenda. I mean, this stuff's being talked about. I mean, everywhere. You say nothing is right, nothing is wrong, nothing is absolute, nothing is, is it any wonder that we're raising kids that are basket cases? And I'm not saying that's the case with everybody.
Yes.
Okay, but I think a majority of these kids are either outcasts, and I don't mean that the way, I don't care how you take it. People know what I'm talking about here.
Yes.
They're outcasts, they're nerds, whatever you want to call them, or they're maybe they've moved a lot. Maybe their home life ain't great. Some of them are not like that. Some of these kids have just been on their phone too much.
True. Yeah.
But I mean, it's like
Too much time on TikTok.
But I mean, we can't let kids be kids anymore. It was so far from my mind.
I don't think I'd ever heard of it.
I don't know that the term even existed. I mean, I really don't. I mean, I had heard of a drag queen, heard of a transvestite, probably didn't really know what it was. Probably did. That's a great thing about being a kid. You didn't have to.
Right.
No one cared. I was aware of men and women. Let's put it that way. I'll just say that straight out. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was it. There was a beauty in that. There was
In innocence.
there was it was like But I mean, when you've got kids, somebody, I mean, their brains aren't fully developed, their hormones are raging, their bodies are changing. I mean, it's some faster than we all know that it's everybody's on a different, everybody's not driving 55.
Right.
It's understandable that some kids can get confused. But the answer to that is not to let women in men's locker rooms. It's not to let boys and girls. You got to be out of your minds.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you think that is normal, I mean, I'd heard about this, and so I went and looked it up so I could have some proof. Didn't want to just start making claims without having proof. But all over, I mean, if you Google it, you can find examples, news articles from reputable sites that talk gender convicts. Looking at one from the times.co.uk, and I know that is in England, but this isn't an issue that is a national issue. This is a human issue, and this occurs all over the place, where it says that 7 sex attacks in women's jails by transgender convicts. Now, if I get out of that website and I go back and take a look at some of the other ones, they're all over the place, these stories where, men attacked women in a women's prison, or, it's
just ridiculous, ridiculous. And the
well, what do they expect?
Well, and also the mockery it's made of sports. I mean, the idea how close are we to? Let's just say Shaquille O'Neal decided to identify himself as a woman and go into. I mean, obviously Shaquille's a bad example because he's like 50. But I mean, say LeBron decided, I'm identifying myself as a female. I'm gonna go play in the WNBA where I'm 11 inches taller than everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, would that be okay? I mean, according to this, he's an adult. It doesn't matter if he has not grabbed a hedge clippers and done the deed. It doesn't matter. That's how he identifies himself. So does the WNBA then have to let him in?
I guess it depends, but we all know how crazy the NBA is.
It's March Madness. I mean, how crazy college campuses are? Are they going to let somebody from Duke or Kentucky play in the women's NCAA?
Yeah, I mean,
isn't that kind of like the next step?
And that you can't. Well, I mean, it's already here. There is a MMA fighter, or used to be anyways, Fallon Fox, who broke his opponent's skull. It was a male transgender MMA fighter. It became a woman. I believe went through the surgeries and everything. Broke the skull.
You're not going to be asking her out on a date anytime soon.
Yeah. In 2014, Fox was fighting her female opponent, Tamika Brents. Ultimately, it should have been just another fight for Fallon and Tamika Brents if Tamika did not suffer serious injuries before she was finished via TKO. So this stuff is already happening.
We don't get to see Ronda Rousey kick her ass.
Well, maybe that might be able to happen. And so
she had
a whole list of these fights.
She's publicly. This is disgusting. She's publicly compared herself to Jackie Robinson. Listen to this. Look, I'm going off Wikipedia, so just keep it this. Fox was born in Toledo, Ohio, where she was assigned male at birth. Assigned?
That's called born. That God assigned you to be a male. That was his identity for you, and you decided to do your own thing.
Think how that's worded.
Yes.
Assigned male.
Yes.
I just, goodness gracious. But I mean, it's gotten to the point where I have heard, and I don't have them in front of me, but I have heard stories of Joe Rogan coming out against pretty harshly.
Yeah.
And I understand it. I mean, I get where he's coming from, what he's saying. So I won't read it, but you can, Joe's talks all the time. You can find his stuff anywhere. But I mean, this whole thing about assigning, when did that start? Assigning? I mean, it's always been there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that hard to figure
You're
out someone's
born
sex at birth.
innately with those chromosomes. You have an X and a Y that make you a man, or you
everything else from bone density to muscles to their bodies are very, very different. It's not as simple as
no, and that's what this Tamika Brents was saying. I've struggled with many women, and I have never felt the strength I felt in a fight like that night. I can't answer whether
she okay.
I don't know. I don't know if she ever fought again after this. I'd have to look it up. But I can't answer whether it's because she was born a man or not, because I'm not a doctor. I can only say that I have never felt so dominated in my life, and that I am abnormally
Well, she needs
strong.
a new boyfriend.
Yeah. And I can only say that
I just, I jest.
But that she says she's an abnormally strong woman in her own right, and still, I still disagree with Fox's struggle. Any other job or career that I say I try, but when it comes to as a combat sport, I don't think it's fair.
And she's being very kind there with how she put that. You could see she was trying hard not to. Not to say anything too controversial.
Yeah, well, she got several staples in her head and in her skull after that fight, so, yeah. Yeah.
Well, Jay, if we look at this, there's cases all over the country, though, of this type of issue going around, that courts are like redefining this almost daily, it feels like. You don't really know what the rules are, but take this court case in Madison.
Okay.
Where are we getting this?
This is from In Madison, WBAY.
WBAY.
Yes. Action 2. Action 2, WBAY.
WBAY.
Yes.
A group of parents filed a lawsuit Tuesday alleging that this is in 2020, alleging that the Madison Schools District's transgender policy is unconstitutional because it prohibits teachers and staff from informing parents that children want to switch sexes. So the teacher now is the one that has to go and inform their parents about hey, John, George wants to become Georgina.
No, according to this, they're not allowed to do that.
I see.
That's what they're saying.
So, I love this. Conservative law firm, Wisconsin. Why do they label it conservative?
Isn't justice blind?
I guess not.
Yeah. Are there liberal law? Well, we know they are.
Well, according to the lawsuit,
yes.
Madison Schools adopted a policy in 2018 that states a person's gender identity can be male, female, blend of both, or neither, or is determined by a person's sense of self. The policy states, that, again, it's just the wide open Wild West here. The policy states that the district is committed to affirming each student's self-designated. So we're going to ask the students.
Yes.
Even though the district requires parental consent before students can change their name and gender, the policy allows students to pick new names and pronouns they want to be. Oh, Jesus. I mean, this is sick.
Yeah.
The parents argue the policy also prohibits teachers and staff from revealing a student's gender identity, including any names or pronouns used at school or parents, guardians. According to the lawsuit, the policy goes on to state that the staff must use the child's legal name with family. I'm confused. So the policy requires if the student chooses a new name, a new gender identity, or new pronouns, but the staff is prohibited from revealing a student's gender identity. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to call Georgina, mm-hmm. we can't say that a change has happened.
No, we're not allowed to tell the parents. They just get to.
They just got a daughter now.
Yeah,
they just had no say in it at all.
I remember when I was in high school. I was in French class, and we all picked French names because it would be fun to, you refer to each other in your French names. Somebody was Pascal, and somebody was Colette, and mine was Sebastian. But we knew it was.
Was that French for Jason?
No, that's French for Sebastian, which I guess it's the same thing. Anyways. We knew it was for fun, and we knew it was within the context of French class, and we knew that it was make-believe when we left French class. We didn't call each other by those names. It was just for the class, for the sake of learning French. This is a perpetual make-believe that happens all day, every day, and follows the kid all the way through either till they graduate or decide that maybe they're tired of that and they want to go back to... From Billy to Belinda back to Billy, it's it's confusing. I don't know how people keep track of it.
It's just asinine. I mean, it's just I don't know a nice way to say it. It's crazy. Jane Doe versus Highland Local School District. What is this? freedomforallamericans.org. Case concerning restroom access for, can I just say something? What is this deal with bathrooms?
Yeah, I don't get it. If somebody wants to come to school dressing as the other gender, yeah, it's weird, but,
and we got drag queens.
Have at it, I guess. But it's what is it with people showing their parts to one another that I don't get? Why? I suppose that is the quickest way to break down the last of our traditional mores and
institutions. It's pretty much done. It's pretty much.
If you want to take the Audubon to get that accomplished, this is how you do it.
Pretty much. This is a Title IX case. Jay, mm-hmm. Are we applying Title IX? How do you apply Title IX now to men and women if men and women can jump to back and forth?
Yeah.
How does Title IX then even apply?
Well, that's the thing, and that's what a lot of women, even, especially feminists, which is kind of weird because as conservatives, we're finding an ally in feminists on this because all of a sudden it's like, well, what happened to women? What happened to girls? Why were we protected for so long and now it's this and we're just kind of...
Feminists are sort of on board. They're afraid to criticize the transgenders too much, though.
Yeah.
Because they're all woke. So they can't... Yeah. I think privately the feminists agree a lot, but publicly, there's
some that are speaking out.
Yeah, there's some, but for the most part, I think they're afraid to speak out too much. I wish they would. It's funny. Nah. Feminists aren't afraid to get in your face about anything else. If you're dating one, run. Okay, but
yes.
But for some reason, you're right. There are a few. And there are some that really get hit over the head. Abigail Schreier being one, who's, people are like boycotting shows she's been invited on, which is just ridiculous. You can't even speak in public. Mm-hmm. It's and she's written a lot about the suicide issue. She's tracked statistics and things like that. Of course, once again, all about the science, unless you disagree with it.
Right.
So, I mean, but these court cases, these court decisions are, I don't understand how students are supposed, or school districts are supposed to, comply with this without wiping out men and women, period. And how young do you go? I mean, I keep saying this too. How young is too young?
Well, they want to start putting these ideas of normalcy for this kind of stuff into kids' heads right away. Kindergarten, first, second, third grade. They want to start introducing these concepts.
Of course, it's always to get in your kid's head, in their system, as young as humanly possible.
How do you feel? What are your emotions? How do you feel today? And
it's funny. I consider the school districts partly responsible for this.
Partly?
Part of it is nutty parents and activists,
TikTok, and
lawyers trying to sue
cartoons,
people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some blame to go around, but I don't get what are they short of saying there are no boys and girls. Mm-hmm. Tell me what's going to satisfy this ACLU human rights. I mean, short of that, tell me what's the end game here? To just eliminate men and women, period?
No, I think it is to create such chaos that it breaks down really the last guardian of what makes America America. It's breaking down the church, breaking down the family. Because once you eliminate those and you eliminate their ability to stand up for what they believe in, then really you have the ability to convince people of anything. And you have then, and it's really not about sex at all or gender. It's about being able to control a population and being able to say, okay, if I can make you believe that, if I can make you believe that a man's a woman and a woman's a man, that a man can have carry a baby or have a period, then I can make you believe anything. And if I can make you believe anything, I can control you. And if I can control you, I rule the world. I can get untold riches. I can have unlimited power and money. And that's really, in the end, what this is about. And the people that are falling into this are playing right into their hand.
It's bad. I mean, it's just bad.
It's really the emperor has no clothes. Oh yes, you look fantastic.
Is this not another reason why we need vouchers so bad? School choice.
We absolutely do. We absolutely do. I mean, that is the only way, but that is why they fight it so hard, because those are the kinds of institutions that actually do stand up for science, not fake science, but science. Those are the ones that'll stand up for a set of beliefs rather than no moral absolutes whatsoever.
Yeah, but moral relativism, I mean, I don't want to live in a country that has no morals.
No, me neither.
Think about it like this, Jay. When we fought the communists, or we had the Cold War,
yes,
that was a moral war.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it was the morality of people being free, people being capitalists, people electing people against people who weren't.
Owning property.
Yeah, communism and capitalism, you couldn't get more opposite.
Right.
And so, but we're not that country anymore. I mean, the country we knew is teetering. I mean, I don't want to sound too alarmist here, but I mean, it's just...
We're fighting about all of this stuff between ourselves. Well, they're creating an oligarchy, between huge businesses and the government, and nobody's noticing it because nobody's stopping to pay attention to what's going on. They're just cheerleading, oh, we're getting our rights, and not noticing they're stepping all over the rights of other people to do it. And all the while, this whole structure is being built, and they're saying things like, within the next year. Food could go up 25%.
Yeah, it's already happening.
and the dollar could lose 10% of its value.
You and I have been warning about inflation for 2 years.
Yes, we have. And it's going to come twofold. It's going to be an increase in the price of goods and services, but it's also going to be a decrease in the value of the dollar. And you can't tell me that if you're putting, $2 trillion into the economy with this COVID bill, and then you're looking at doing another $2 trillion infrastructure bill, that you're not flooding our economy with cash. And when you flood it with cash and you have the ability to buy things, and I mean, that's all good, but not when it's fake. And so we're going to see an increase.
Well, and again, there's ways to fix that.
Yeah.
There's stop the spending.
Yep.
I hate to say raise interest rates, but it has to happen.
We really have to watch, too, because when we have that occur at the same time that the dollar's going down and inflation is occurring, we're in trouble.
Right, but you have to make it – you can't have so many cheap dollars out there, because the second – if you're spending a lot and borrowing is easy, that's a recipe for major inflation. There's only two things that can curb that. Well, three. One is cutting government spending.
Yeah.
Two is
not gonna happen.
Raising interest rates very high, because you that would eat up the money that is floating around.
Yeah.
Or very high taxes.
Look at the high interest rates we had back in the 70s, and then when Ronald Reagan pulled back on available dollars, or during Reagan's presidency.
Right, but what President Reagan did was he lowered the taxes.
Yeah, he did.
Interest rates slowly followed suit.
Yeah.
And you had sort of opposite of what we did. You
Yep.
didn't, it's a totally different thing.
That's why we're in so much trouble.
And what stinks is so many things of the economy were going well. So many things, when you look at, our dependency on foreign oil had changed so much. And, everything had been booming for quite a while. I mean, almost a decade.
Yeah.
And now not only are we backwards, but we have, like I've said before, we haven't even started the decline, because you can't, as long as people cannot get, I hate to say this, evicted or foreclosed on. Okay? As soon as that opens the gate, and it will at some point, it has to, you're going to see everything fall behind it. Now, some of it has to happen. You can't have a situation where nobody can just pay their rent for a year.
Right.
You can't have that. That has to correct itself. Housing, it can't go up 10%. This is the same. We're in the same spot we were in housing in 2006.
Yeah.
We're in the same spot right now. Okay. So but again, we saw that correct itself and come back up, and it will again. But the pain's going to be, the longer we put this off, the worse it's going to be.
Yeah. That's true.
I mean,
but we're artificially floating these things right now by printing so much money.
Well, and handing out this money, which is basically like universal basic income.
You get people dependent on the system, and then
the bill's popping them basically with dollars that are fake,
and nobody knows about all the billions upon billions of dollars that are going to people that are not people. That it's not going to people at all. It's going to special interests and
by the
business,
way,
and
I tried to buy some silver bullion.
Are hard to come by. Ammunition's hard to come by. Firearms are hard to come by. Silver, gold,
the precious metals being hard to come by is strange. And that's a weird position to be in.
Yeah, y'all gotta notice what's going on around you. I mean, it's kind of like they say, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. Well,
it's not so crazy.
No. Yeah.
Well, I want to get back to this school stuff
because,
I mean, I just, what do you do, Jay? I mean, you're a parent. I mean, what do you do in this situation?
Well,
how do you fight this craziness.
Well, you got to have some really candid conversations with your children, and unfortunately, you're forced to do it a lot earlier than you would like to have to do it. But you have to out of the public school system, which is my preferred method. But you have to say, your teachers are probably talking about this, and if they haven't, they're going to. That's not the way things are. It's going to end up with getting in trouble. But just know this is what science says. You're born a boy, you're born a girl, you'll remain a boy or a girl for as long as you live, because that's the way you're created. You're created with an identity, with something special to do in this life. You have a purpose, you have meaning. It's up to you to find that. And you just got to be really upfront with them about that. That
that's got to confuse a kid though too.
But
I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you.
There are bad people out there who have got into the system. You got to tell them that flat out. There are bad people that have been allowed to get into the system, and they're messing in that place of truth. And make sure that you don't give place to what they're trying to do. That's really all you can do. You equip them to be strong. You equip them to be smart. And, when the nonsense comes, they'll recognize it, in most cases. But you got to stay 5 steps ahead of the school district, too, and you got to know what they're teaching. And that's hard enough because they've tried their best to shut parents out of what they're teaching so that we can't do that.
Yeah, they have. I mean, it's been... it's been a nightmare. All these issues have just been a nightmare, and they, quite frankly, they just really don't belong in the school district at all. I mean, kids gender identify. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do they gender identify at their church or at their family picnic or or is this a 24/7 thing, or is it just when they get to school? You're
going to have some, that are, at the family picnic. They're going to, just in everyday life, they start dressing a little effeminate or a little masculine. I mean, it used to be called being a tomboy, right? If you're a girl that, dressed a little, you were in jeans and a T-shirt and you're, a little more masculine, ball cap. But most of those people ended up getting married to people of the opposite sex and living a fantastic life, now we teach them, oh no, that you might, really have meant to have been the opposite all along.
But is that encouraging this? Is that encouraging?
Yeah, because it's not just allowing kids to be able to go through life and figure out who they are. You're trying to force something on them and create this alternate ego or alternate identity, and it's not good for them, because then they miss out on figuring out who they really are, and then you've screwed somebody up for life, and they miss like a whole period of development.
And they don't. You're not preparing them to be an adult either,
right?
Where you
don't like your circumstances, you can just make believe your way out of it.
Well, and also accepting the consequences of your actions.
Right.
I mean that's another, that's another thing that it's weird. In a way, we shield kids. On the one hand, we shield kids from anything bad in history or anything,
Well, that's why they're changing all the social study curriculum,
Yeah, we shield them from that, but we don't... when it comes to other stuff, we throw it in their faces.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I don't know. It's just awful. There's days I wish I was a parent. There are days I'm so glad I'm not. And today's just one of these days I'm just so glad I'm not. St. Paul Public Schools. I'm just kind of curious what they say about transgender stuff on their websites, and I'm at their spps.org. I'm at their
I'm sure that
there's no date on this, but their transgender policy. approved a new policy that aims to make school more welcoming for transgender and gender non-conforming students. The policy set the expectation that students' preferred name and pronoun be used at school, and that the teachers not... I think when they're changing clothes, that might be a compelling reason.
That's a pretty compelling reason.
And a compelling reason isn't defined. I mean, if it's not that and it's not sports, what would it be? What's the compelling reason? It also will give transgenders access to the bathroom and locker room that match their gender identity. I should be able to walk in a bathroom and not have people question if I'm supposed to be there. Siren Lopez, a transgender.
You should.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to walk into the women's bathroom at like the gas station or something.
Yeah.
Just walk right in there. Hey.
Target used to be okay with it. You used to be able to do that.
Yeah, I'm gender identifying.
Yeah.
So, too bad. I should be able to walk in a bathroom and not have people question if I'm supposed to be there. Really, Siren Lopez? Emma oh boy. Santabanez, an 8-year-old transgender student,
Elementary.
said she was...
Of course.
I love this. Said she
Yes.
was outed as a transgender during summer camp.
Oh.
8 years old.
Where's CPS? I would like
Exactly.
to know, where is CPS?
Yes.
Because this is child endangerment. It is child abuse. Where is CPS?
Critics, including us, threatens the privacy and safety of all students. Of course it does.
Yes.
Lawmakers sympathetic to those concerns are proposing to override the district policy by changing laws. 26 state lawmakers, all Republicans, have sponsored legislation that require public to use the facilities that blah, 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 and policy. Filed discussions with a path for transgender girls to play on girls' sports teams. So, I mean, board members expressed few concerns on the subject.
Of course they did. They're mindless.
So, it's the right thing to do, said board member John Broderick or Matthew.
Yeah.
Now that the policy has passed, district administrators will drop corresponding procedures to be improved by the superintendent. So here you have, 8 years old.
Yeah.
We just asked earlier at what age? Just think.
That's second grade.
Nobody's concerned on the school board that an 8-year-old.
Second grade.
Yeah, exactly. The second-year-old can't do
What
it.
was I thinking about in second grade? Not that.
No, I was
thinking about
watching the twins.
I need to
That's
get
what
my
I was
times table or my additions tables figured out so I can go out for
doing.
recess.
Where's my bike? Yeah, exactly. Now it's where's that phone?
Oh, we're having a rubber spaghetti again today in the cafeteria.
Rubber spaghetti and bouncy chicken.
That kind of stuff.
Minnesota Department of Education is added to it. Back in 2017, they approved a controversial transgender toolkit.
Yes, they did.
LGBT activists rallied around the toolkit. There it was on the ground, and they all did a dance around it, stating that transgender and gender non-conforming students need more support to combat bullying and harassment. Now, I thought that wasn't it, though. I thought this was about using bathrooms or
That's
something.
what I thought too.
But now I guess it's bullying.
Huh.
So what's this toolkit? What's in the toolkit, Jay?
I don't know. Maybe
Oh, hey, you click on it at the Department of Education, you get a broken link.
Oh, of course.
Just so you know.
Yeah, you got to hide what's in there. Maybe it's like, a couple of those branch cutters and maybe that's one of the tools, hammer, a saw.
Schools will not be forced to implement these best practices, but I bet they'll be sued if they don't.
Yeah, well, that's where we're headed. I mean, that's what's happening in Anoka-Ramsey. That's why we're doing the podcast this way today. Because that's where we're at. They are getting sued.
I don't know. It's getting way worse. It's just really getting worse.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
I mean, what do we, what are we going to do? I don't know. I'm so concerned about our young people as it is.
Mm-hmm.
I just am. I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
I'm almost speechless.
I am so glad I am grown, and bringing up, a 9-year-old in this day and age. I mean, my older two kind of skirted some of that. I think they kind of got out just in time with some of it, not with some of it, but
really, I mean, did
no.
Yeah.
See, and I still don't know, what kind of damage would be done. But I mean, I know from having conversations with my children, where the things that I taught them about history, the history of America, what it really is, and where they line up politically and how they talk about this and that. I have a pretty good idea of where they landed, despite what they've been taught. But it's treacherous waters, Andrew.
Totally.
I mean, you have got to be such a hands-on parent. If you just let your kid slide from day to day and they just kind of live life on their own and figure out things without you sitting down with them on a daily basis and instructing them in what you believe and why you believe it and what the history is of America and what what true science is and
yeah, I'm going to get it back. Dora's box.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to close that after that. Once the barn door is out, it's hard to bring the horses and the cows back in.
Yeah.
By the way, in addressing some key recommendations, I just want to lay out from Minnesota.
Okay.
Department of Education. Schools should use the names and pronouns the student prefers, even if they do not provide legal documents to change their names, to change their student records. So nobody asked me what I wanted to be called. I was, my name was there on the report cards and on the everything. And it's just schools should not discipline students for wearing clothes that do not match gender-based stereotypes. I wasn't aware they did.
No, I was never aware of that either.
I went to had plenty of weird-looking people I went to school with, but I don't remember anybody being disciplined about it.
No.
How about absolutely, but tomboys weren't sent home
No.
with How about this? Do you have like a homecoming king and queen anymore?
There's a lot of places that don't because that's discriminatory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Schools should not treat any student differently based on their sex, including janitors.
Don't bring them into this.
I almost said genitals. Gender identity in any school activity or in the application of any school rule.
Yeah.
School officials should allow students to participate in activities including athletics, homecoming, and prom consistent with their gender identity. So you're right.
Yes.
They probably are going to have to cancel all of this. Probably can't have a homecoming king and queen anymore because it's gender identity.
Right.
School officials should ensure all students have access to restrooms and locker rooms. I'm sorry, do they not?
Yeah.
Do they have locks on them?
You don't get to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, there's a bucket over in the corner for you. You don't get to go in there. To restroom facilities that correspond with their gender identity. Some students may feel uncomfortable using
That's called normal.
Yeah, any student who wishes not to share a restroom can be provided a private space with a single user. Oh, so that's interesting.
So send all the people who are.
Yeah. So if I don't want to,
So we're going to.
So if I hypothetically had a daughter.
Yes.
And a boy went into the who identifies as a woman
Yes.
went into the bathroom to take a leak, my daughter would have to go in another bathroom if they're uncomfortable with it.
Yes. So, yes, in other words, 98% of the kids have to use the other bathrooms. So at what point does that not become the new men's and women's bathroom?
I thought it was discriminatory against the transgender people to make them do that. So why is it that the quote unquote normal people have got to go backward and go where we were from the beginning?
Because just like Whitey, Straightie's all wrong. That's why. That's why. I don't know. I mean, we live in a backwards world, and
I mean, that's nuts. That's just nuts. And like I said, how young is this?
Second grade. What do you got below that? First grade and kindergarten. That's it.
Wow. I'll tell you what. I'm not speechless too often.
Yeah.
But this is sick. The people who push this are sick.
Yeah.
You make me barf. I don't want to look at you. Ugh. And you know what? I hope that people are not afraid to speak out on this, because I think it's just I lose respect for the American left every waking minute, because they're such cowards. They're so cowardly that they're so afraid to offend anybody. They'll say things under their breath and all that, but they won't come out and say anything. And I want to know, where are these feminists? I will gladly stand arm in arm with feminists who come out against this.
Absolutely.
And I'm just dumbfounded at how a school district can not only, it's funny, on the one hand, they're promoting this, and on the other hand, they're sort of playing the victim with it. So it's like, but they're a part of the problem too.
Yes.
And don't settle for any money. What, are you out of your minds?
No, when you settle, you are
now
showing to everybody that you're wrong.
No,
and they're right.
What you're showing is that you're afraid to fight.
Yep.
Number one.
That's what you're showing the lawyers.
Yeah, and now everybody who has a problem now thinks that they're going to go sue and get money.
When the lady spilled that coffee in her lap at McDonald's and sued them, that right there was the turning point, I think, in a lot of American bad jurisprudence. And it just, if we could see where we would have ended up.
Well, and I also think that and that jerk was part of why you couldn't put coffee through a drive-through for the longest time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can now, obviously, but I mean, insane. I mean,
so people have just got bolder and bolder and bolder and bolder and bolder, and now we're dealing with this. And this should never have even come close to a courtroom.
Well, and I'll tell you what, too, and it's. Nobody's out there too, and this is a sad thing too. Nobody's out there protecting the traditional kids, the traditional family. I mean, they have no protection whatsoever. They're assumed to be bullies all the time. I mean, it's just.
I thought it was always funny how the anti-bullying crowd uses bullying tactics to gain its advantage.
Yeah, that's the only tactics they know. That's what works.
Yes.
Being a bully is what gets people to, that's what a bully does.
Right.
They
because
run over
nobody
somebody.
else would go along with it. Not stop with the schools. Okay? This is going to seep its way into government and government policy. It's going to seep its way into business. I mean, already with the Great Reset, they're talking about how, how woke a company is. When you look at their ESG scores, the S part is social, and that not extra rights given before and that you don't have. And so this will come into businesses, and you're not going to get promotions, and you're not going to get raises, and you're not going to be this or be that, And all of you who are in some of these special protected classes today, whether it's African Americans or another group, you're not going to be the flavor du jour someday, and it's going to be another group, and you're going to get cast out like the women have been cast out now in favor of the trans group. And so it goes. And so you've got to come to the realization at some point that we have to put a stop to this madness, or we are going to suffer at the hands of people that just change things up and see how far they can push us. It's all part of the social engineering, Andrew.
Well, I mean, I'm with you there, and I'm not with that, but I mean, I'm with you on what they're doing, and I think ultimately, the goal is to take traditional values and get rid of all of them.
Yes.
I mean, that means getting rid of God, getting rid of love of country, getting rid of history, getting rid of,
nuclear family.
Any institution that we used to love.
Yeah.
Is just, I'm just so disappointed in people's willingness to go along with it. I mean, I'm so disappointed in it. I'm so disappointed, like I said, mostly in the left, because there are good people on the left.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that they're paralyzed by fear all the time. We deal with it all the time too. Every time we say our mind, we have, people who hate us, people who threaten this or that, or people on the right deal with boycotts and things like that, constantly trying to hurt them for speaking their minds. And, but no one on the left ever seems to come out and no one of any prominence anyway.
Yeah.
Seems to come out and say, okay, I'm up.
Right.
I don't want to take anybody's rights from people that I disagree with.
No. Everybody should have equal rights. Equal. Not special rights, not extra rights. Equal rights.
I'll tell you what, you got to, and I know we've said this before, but you got to pay attention to what your kids are being told. You can't just let them come home and get on the computer. You can't go watch your Netflix shows. You got to read what they're reading. It's just that simple. And I feel like parents don't push back hard enough. Because I think if they did, there would be issues. I really do. But I think, again, either too many of them are too busy, or like I said, not involved enough, or whatever, the nuclear family being destroyed, whatever, that, obviously that's not happening. I mean, I think it's happening in some places, but it's obviously not happening enough.
No.
Period. Or you got a school choice. I mean, you're going to have to get kids out of this environment.
What you're left with.
Jay, I mean, once again, I think things are hopeless. I mean, you might be a half.
I'm a glass half full kind of guy.
I normally am too, but I'm just not when it comes to this issue. The left is so that I don't know that it's possible that a turnaround can happen. I mean, I think it can for the kids who aren't in the system.
Right.
But outside of that, I don't know that this ever goes away. Ever.
Well, I hope so.
And we talked about the new social studies stuff and all the race. It doesn't even have to go out. Talk about Republicans never play the long game. Democrats, it's all they're doing.
Right.
Or liberals. It's not all Dems, but I mean, it's the socialists.
Yeah.
I mean, they're executing their plan right now.
Absolutely.
All right. Enough with this. It's so sick. I can't think about it anymore. Jay, it's that time again.
Okay.
The women love them. The men want to be them. Jet flying, limousine riding, wheeling, dealing, son of a gun. With the sign-off sermon, I give you the moment you've all been waiting for. I know nobody changes the channel. Nobody takes a poop break. Nobody hits pause. Nobody goes out for popcorn. They're all listening. The sign-off sermon, and I give you, once again, Jason Bradley.
Thank you, Andrew. Wow. Oh, goodness. Well, yeah, this is happening. You know, in Pennsylvania and Virginia, there have been lawsuits. We talked about Wisconsin and Minnesota and Ohio. And there was also kind of in the opposite direction in Oregon. The Oregon one was a transgender one. But there was... Oh, which one was it? Was it Pennsylvania? Yeah, Pennsylvania. Student who objected to sharing the locker room with transgender students sued the school and lost. So, again, we see no rights for some people and extra rights for others. We're in a tough spot. You see, it's sad because I think each of us in our journey, we're looking for identity. We're looking for meaning. Why are we here on this earth? Why are we here? What is it we're supposed to do with this, 30, 50, 90 years we've been given? And I think each of us want to make the most of it. We want to feel like we're leaving a legacy. We want to not just have fun, but we want to say that we changed the world in some small way while we're here. You know, and so we get caught up in things, and sometimes those things are really good for us, and sometimes they're not. And I so feel for people that struggle with identity. And I know we had our laughs and stuff during the show, but I mean, it is heartbreaking because there are so many people that die at their own hand because they're confused, because they feel alone. It says that in the Bible that God had created good works for us before we were ever created. You know, he prepared those for us. And so there's those of us who are Christians believe that there's something for us to do in this life, something to attain to, something to strive for. But unfortunately, so many of us, as it says in Romans 1, followed our own lusts, whether that be sexual or financial or any other kind of thing that we want to put our everything into and make our obsession. But that it gives us over to a reprobate mind, which means utter foolishness. That we will follow the path, the descent of a foolish thought as far as we can take it as human beings. And that when we do that, that only hurts us, our families, our children especially. It hurts society. But we have allowed for these people that are hurting society to come in and to say and do things and get into positions of power that are hurting all of society. We see it in our churches. We see it in our families. We see it in our schools. We see it in our media. We see it in business. We see it in arts and entertainment. And you know, we need to get involved in these various realms of influence in our society because we have allowed the other side to control the narrative for so long, and we slept while they put people into positions of power. We lost. We lost years. We lost decades. We've lost at least one, if not more, generations of people. George Washington sacrificed for his country. You know, we've had Jefferson, Lincoln. You know, Ronald Reagan said that if a generation loses freedom that we may never, ever see it come back again. And we can't have that this generation, but forever. Now, why? Because we have given ourselves over to a reprobate mind. Utter foolishness. We have chased foolish thought down the path as far as we are able until we are beginning to see the disintegration of society. We have lost our way, and we have no compass to find our way back. We have no foundation upon which to build. But it's not too late. Why? Because we're not dead and gone, and we know what freedom is. And as long as we stand for and are willing to build that in our own areas of influence, how to build on that government mountain and to get together with other people and to build a force 20,000 strong of elected and appointed people. Why? Because we need to do that in order to be able to create good policy. But it's true. If we don't have people in the education mountain that are writing curriculum, that are teaching, that are administrating, that are working with children, that are creating policy, in the teachers' unions, and if we don't have good people that are on the entertainment mountain writing songs that could influence a generation, but not like that crap show on the Grammys, just has to be good. And so whether that's in any of those realms of influence, we need people to stand up and start finding inspiration to be better, to make a mark, to do what you were put here to do, because you were put here to do something. So it's figuring out what that is and taking that first small step, and whether it's learning something, whether it is doing something, you got to do it. I mean, what are you going to leave for your kids? Billy comes Billerina and then comes home and, you could just let them find their own way like that, or you can teach them. And you can show them what it's like to leave a legacy based on your hard work and your desire and passion to make America and make this world a better place than what you left it. That's why we're put here. Not so we can be self-indulgent, but so that we can make the world a better place. That's what they think they're doing. Better for them anyways. They're not so concerned about everybody else. But those of us who have a different worldview, we are concerned about everybody. And we want to make sure that everybody has the ability to become who they are meant to be. It has equal opportunity, equal justice. That's really what it's about. So if you like what you hear here, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, and pass it along. Because until we have a force big enough to stand up and do something about it, we're not going to. And they're going to continue to be able to do as they please when they please. So let's do this. Let's do it together. Let's create something amazing. We can do this, Minnesota. It just takes a few good people, 2% of like-minded people in this state, and we can do a whole lot. So come on. I know you're out there. Get a hold of us at commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. commsolutionsmn@gmail.com, and let's talk. Because we got some serious planning to do. We're behind, and we need to work hard. It's not beyond hope. It is not beyond hope, and we can do this. I believe in you. Why? Because we love you, Minnesota. And now it's your turn to get to work.
Get too